Wait. Better. Anyways. So, as those of you who are involved in a certain portion of the internet and the world might know, last week, Doctor Who Series 10 premiered. And, I have no plans to watch it, even though I am a Doctor Who fan, because many things have been going on, writing-wise, that disappoint me. So, I am, as my little act of rebellion, I guess, against the Moffat reign, have initially decided to go back and marathon every single classic Doctor Who episode in order. Then I came to the conclusion that I am 15 years old and do not have that kind of money. Sure, I save my money quite a bit and probably have a lot more than most 15-year-olds do. But I don't have that kind of money, nor would I be interested in marathoning it straight through, because I don't want to be with William Hartnell that long. Don't want to just sit through all their things like that. So, what I'm going to do is watch it out of order. Now, what I mean by this is I am going to go through some of the more important episodes and just kind of pick and choose a bunch of different episodes that sound interesting, or that I've just been wanting to watch, or it's one of the famous episodes. But today I am not going to go out of order. I am going to start at the beginning because I own the beginning. Ha! It's a pun. Anyways, and I'm going to start with talking about An Unearthly Child, and this is the beginning box set, and it has An Unearthly Child, The Daleks, and The Edge of Destruction, which is the first 3 stories, and it has a recap, a condensed version of The Remains of Marco Polo, which was the 4th story, which was one of the ones that was completely lost. We're still not quite sure if that one's just in another country somewhere, or if it's been destroyed completely, like certain episodes were. So I'm going to talk about An Unearthly Child. Anyways, let's talk about it. Now, the first episode, which is the only one titled An Unearthly Child, because at this point they all had different titles, is fantastic. It's definitely a better start to the series than Rose was, although Rose is not a bad episode. It's just kind of awkward in a lot of ways, but it's got a mystery around it, who is this girl, why is she so strange, what's going on with her grandfather, what's going on in this junkyard, why is something bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, and it sets it up very perfectly, and it got this whole kind of noir atmosphere almost to it, because of, it's partially the black and white, but it's just the general tone it gives off. It's very mysterious. So yeah, the first episode, at least, is probably the best. It's probably one of the best single episodes in Doctor Who history. The second episode is good too. It's not quite as good as the first one, but it's decent. It kind of shows you how Doctor Who, because there's time travel, how it kind of spends time with the natives of whatever planet or time period they're at, instead of just oh, here's these characters, here they are. They develop them, they build them, they show you what their culture's like, because that's oftentimes important to the story. But it's good. It's very simple plot. There's cavemen, so you gotta have the cavemen in the time travel story, and they want fire, because the guy who used to know how to make fire died, and his son can't, and there's caveman drama, and so they pretty much hold them, the Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Susan, captive, and they're I don't even remember, it's been a while since I actually watched it, it's been a week, I just decided to do this now. That was probably not the best idea, But anyways, they hold them captive, and the TARDIS crew want to get out of there because, of course, who wants to be stuck with a bunch of crazy cavemen? And so there's a bunch of drama that goes on there, and it's good. It's a good episode. Episode 3 is where things start to drag with all that. Although it's interesting because I think that episode 3 is where someone is actually murdered, which kind of, I mean, Doctor Who was originally supposed to be like an educational kids show. And I think it's interesting that they had someone die in like the first episode. I don't know if that's like, oh, kids can handle more. I'm not quite sure what that standard is in Britain, but or was in Britain in 1963. But it's just kind of interesting that they killed someone. I'm like, so were you actually intending for this to be a kid's show? Because I don't think Doctor Who is a kid's show. I don't think it's an adult show. I think Doctor Who's for everybody. I think it's one of the few shows that can be, because there's something there for everybody. But anyway, like, I think that's interesting how they just kind of and it's an old woman too who gets murdered, just straight up like stabbed to death. But because she was afraid of the TARDIS crew being able to make fire, and she's like, I don't want to change, yada yada yada, because I'm a curmudgeon old woman. But episode 3 is where things start to drag because one of the members of the caveman tribe gets injured, and there's whole drama with that, and it's kind of slow paced, which I think is one of the problems with some of these earlier episodes, is that sometimes it drags with, like, because it was the longer episode length. Later on, when they started going more towards each story being 4 episodes instead of, like, like the Daleks is 7 episodes long, or the Enemy of the World is 6, and they started shortening them, because I have all mine here, and I'm pretty sure that all of them I have, other than the beginning, the Enemy of the World, and obviously the 5 Doctors, I'm pretty sure they're all 4 episodes long. So they started to homogenize the lengths a lot, with like special exceptions to, like, longer story arcs or something. But okay, the 4th episode things pick up a bit more. Stops dragging as much pacing wise. They finally make it out. They pretty much just run from the TARDIS and get out. So overall, what I would give this episode, probably, it's a pretty solid 8 out of 10, I think. It's good, really good episode. Great start to the series. Like I said, I think it's a little bit better than Rose, just because Rose didn't have the awkward Auton Mickey thing going on. I mean, Rose did. This doesn't have that, because the Autons didn't come around to the 3rd Doctor. So yeah, I think I'd like to talk about what episodes I have. I have the beginning, which is, like I said, I have the Enemy of the World. Stop falling. Death to the Daleks, which is Pertwee. Yark in Space. The Sunmakers. The 5 Doctors. And The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And the only Doctor that I don't have anything from, although I have one of the books, but I don't think that really counts, is Colin Baker, which was the 6th Doctor. I got all these at Barnes & Noble, and I couldn't find any of his there. Which I'm like, do you not want anyone to see his stuff? Because I'd kind of like to. I'd like to form my own opinion about him before hearing about how bad his writing could be, but, whatever. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through all these first, and then I'm going to start, buying episodes, I think. So, yeah. Hopefully it's less long this time. Bye.